Welcome to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. And like I said, I'm here on this beautiful Friday morning too. And I'm back again on this beautiful Friday morning actually to keep talking to you about, the latest that is happening, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the entire world as well. All right. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you share your thoughts and your opinions with me because I would love to hear what you have to say. I would love to hear everything that you have to say with regard to what is currently going on in the world. All right. And I know it's very early in the morning on Friday, but don't worry because tomorrow is Saturday and that means it's a weekend. And Fridays are are the days that we all look forward to because obviously, Fridays are all about enjoying yourself, having fun, and getting all of that rest that you finally needed. All right. That's what Fridays are for me, and I know that's what Fridays are for a lot of other people. All right, now we are going to be talking about a very important topic today because we're going to be talking about England's crisis of child abuse. All right, and the reason we're going to be talking about this actually is because currently, because of the pandemic, because of the successive lockdowns, it has actually gone from bad to worse. Right, there has been an increase in domestic violence. We've seen children have been going through placements, and they've also had to constantly pay a huge or rather exorbitant amount of money because of the increasing prices in terms of social care and whatnot. All right, so that's why we're going to be having this conversation. However, before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact be a part of the show. All you need to do is just text me on 07852473473. Share your thoughts with me, share your opinions with me, because obviously I would absolutely love to hear what you have to say. All right, and don't actually forget to go follow us on our socials. Now you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and actually make sure that you're always informed about the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the world as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and download our app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, so that you can listen in from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. And no matter what you're doing, you can always listen to the conversation. All right, and now let's actually very quickly get into our conversation because we're going to be talking about England's crisis of child abuse. All right, and I feel like the reason we actually have to talk about this is because Josh McAllister, all right, who happens to be leading the review into children's social care, actually described the children's services system as a tower of Jenga that is held together by Sellotape. All right, and if that isn't the most accurate way that our children's services system has been described, then I don't know what is. Because to be quite honest with you, right, during the pandemic, we've seen successive lockdowns, we've seen an increase in domestic violence, we've seen rising costs, we've seen loss of jobs, right, and all of this is in fact placing a lot of burden, placing a lot of stress on these families who want support, and b these charities that actually, and these institutions that actually help these families. Right, look, if you're already from a family where your father gets drunk and where the father gets drunk and hits the children, well then obviously with the pandemic and with them possibly losing their job, or even having a salary cut, that means that that's going to get worse. And this has been the plight of many children all over the United Kingdom. All right, and it's actually heartbreaking and it's sad because normally when you go to school, you might be able to talk about the abuse that you face at home to your school nurse or a counselor, or you would have had an outlet to actually tell what you are going through. However, because of all of those excessive lockdowns, a lot of children couldn't actually do that. Right, and because of that, there was in fact a rise in all of these cases of domestic violence, and there was no way that they could even establish the fact that they were being abused, and that has in fact worsened this problem. So right now what we're seeing in the children's services system is in fact a problem that already existed, but now we're actually seeing how bad the problem is. All right, now like I said, a lot of young children have actually been suffering a lot of abuse, neglect, and poverty, and a lot of them happens to be from England's most deprived communities, right? And self-isolation and homeschooling has also placed families under this, increased financial pressure through unemployment or even lost wages. And there's also been inflaming mental health problems and even addiction problems, all right? And this, like I said, this means that there has been an increase in violence, and that has also allowed all of these safeguarding concerns for children and young people to actually go undetected, because like I said, schools closed down and whatnot. So in Gateshead, and I want to just tell you about this story as well, because I mean, I was absolutely shocked by how expensive these services are as well. uh, Now in Gateshead, all right, which is in northeast England, which basically has had an 8% increase in looked after children since 2019, they're actually paying £9,800 a week for the placements of just two children, right? And that basically adds up to more than 1 million a year for just those two children, right? So this is why this is such a big problem, right? Because you're having so many people actually say that, what, we're actually going through a crisis. We're actually seeing a lot of people, or we're seeing a lot of children suffer, and these costs are high as ever, and we're finding it really hard to manage. We're finding it hard, and we're struggling. So this is why they're actually asking, or rather calling upon the government to solve this problem. Now make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and I'm super super excited to be here to share my thoughts, share my opinions with you, but also because I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on what we are currently discussing. All right. So now we're discussing the child abuse crisis that is currently there in England, and if you have any thoughts on this, if you have any opinions on this, or any perspectives that you want to share with us, make sure to go ahead and do that, because all you need to do is just text me on 078 Share your thoughts, share your opinions with me, because I would absolutely love to hear what you have to say. All right. So don't actually forget to do that. And don't forget to go follow us on our socials either. Now you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and actually make sure that you're always connected and tuned into the conversation. And something else that you can do is to go download our app, because that is available to download on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, and you can listen in from any device anywhere in the world at any time of the day. So that's absolutely amazing as well. So don't actually forget to do that. All right. And now let's actually get back into our conversation, because we still have a lot left to talk about. The children's care system, why exactly it's such a big problem, and why we need to sort of change some of the things around it, so we can help these children and help these institutions that actually help these children. All right, now the Association of Directors of Children's Services actually told the government that the commission services, or the commission review of children's social care, that the cost of such placements were in fact deeply worrying, right? And also, in addition to being deeply worrying, they were also financially problematic. And the reason it was problematic is because, look, if you're going to take care of so many children and you have to be paying for all of them, then having this exorbitant cost for them actually makes it hard for them to help, for them to help all of these children, because at the end of the day they also only get a limited amount of funding, right? And with all of that limited funding, they have to make sure that they take care of all of these children. So it absolutely makes no sense that these services are so expensive, and they still have to take care of so much of children, and they get absolutely no increase in the funding that they get. All right. And they basically want a cap on fees that private providers can actually charge, because they actually said that it costs them in millions when there is no cap on it, right? Because these private providers can actually charge as much as they want to, right, at the end of the day. And it actually costs these institutions, these charities, millions to actually take care of all of these children. All right. And to even provide earlier intensive support closer to the communities in which children can grow up, it takes millions and millions and millions of pounds, right? So to ease their sort of burden, to ease the pressures that they have to go through, this is why they're asking for the government, or they're asking, or rather calling for the government to essentially put a cap on the fees that private providers can actually charge. All right. And like I said, this is just a few of the a few of the opinions and thoughts that they have to actually help or to make sure that this crisis of child abuse in England gets better. All right. Now, another thing that we need to understand is, especially during lockdown, mental health essentially went from bad to worse. It spiraled to what could possibly be described as, the worst ever spiraling in history, right? And let's actually think about why that is. And to begin with, a lot of this was because of the fact that not a lot of us knew exactly what was going on when COVID first struck, right? It was something completely new. We had no idea how it was. We had no idea, how exactly all of these things came about. So then when you don't have an idea and you're doubtful and there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of fake news, then what's going to happen is that you're going to be stressed out about the fact that there is this virus, and you're putting your life at risk, and there are so many things that you don't know about this virus, right? Secondly, a lot of people were struggling during the pandemic, right? Financially, a lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people lost their incomes, and that obviously has taken another toll on people's mental health. Because how am I going to provide for my family? How am I going to take care of my children if I don't have enough money to do that? Right. And that is just another reason as to why people's mental health has actually gone from bad to worse. And thirdly, this social interaction that we have with our friends or family, a lot of people had to get used to not being able to see their friends, not being able to see their family. And that was something else that, worsened people's mental health. So, the spiraling cost of mental health support, and even the backlog in family courts, with, even some councils buckling under the weight of extra work brought by the coronavirus, has actually made this crisis much, much harder to deal with as well, because there's such a huge backlog. There are so many struggles that are being faced by not just these charities, but also by these families who ask for support from these institutions that help them, right? So because of all of that, it actually makes it very, very hard for a lot of these people to get the help that they actually need, right? And in addition to that, local authorities actually are expected to overspend by up to about 12 million in children's services this year. And leaders also say that they're struggling to deal with the increase in demand. So that is how bad it is right now, and that's why all of these people are calling on the government to actually help them make sure that to actually help them and make sure that they understand how expensive this is, and how in the long term this might not actually be a very sustainable and efficient thing to do if the costs are going to be rising so much. All right, so that is what the conversation is about. Now make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. But until then, make sure you stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just it's basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education, or how